Hi, and welcome to USMA Orgo. This is going to be a series of short videos that are intended to give you some tips and some things to think about as you go through your study of organic chemistry. The videos are not meant to take the place of your class preparation, but rather to supplement and get you thinking and lead you in the right direction as you go through your studies. So welcome to Organic Chemistry. First, I want to introduce you to the team that supports you here. First is Lieutenant Colonel Richard Comets, myself. I'll be the course director, and along with Dr. Eileen Kowalski, we'll be doing the teaching in the classroom portion. In the lab, you'll see Mr. Victor Garza. He's our research chemist and the one that sets up all of our labs and is an expert on all the instrumentation in the lab. So first, I want to dispel some rumors about organic chemistry. Most times you tell someone that you're going to take organic chemistry, they'll tell you things like, this was the worst class I ever took, it was so difficult, it's impossible, and I don't think that's true, and I'd like to try to help you feel a little bit better about taking organic chemistry as we go through this. So first, a quote from the organic chemistry book written by John McMurray. When first approach organic chemistry, it can seem like a bewildering collection of millions of compounds, dozens of functional groups, and an endless number of reactions. With study, though, it becomes evident that there are only a few fundamental ideas that underlie all organic reactions. Far from being a collection of isolated facts, organic chemistry is a beautifully logical subject that is unified by a few broad themes. When these themes are understood, learning organic chemistry becomes much easier, and rote memorization is minimized. So all of us can probably quote a movie or know someone that can memorize a bunch of lines from movies at any time. I'd like to compare that to studying organic chemistry. When you learn those movie lines, you don't go into it with the idea of I'm going to go into a movie and study all the lines and memorize them, but rather it just happens because you understand the plot and the characters and the setting, and then the lines become easy to understand. So if I told you to memorize these lines from a movie, it might be quite difficult if I just handed you this piece of paper and you had to look through and read this and memorize them. But if I told you it was from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, then you might have a better idea of what's going on, and it might be easier to remember. So in this movie, the plot is 3 years after Star Wars. The Galactic Empire, under the leadership of Darth Vader, is in pursuit of Luke Skywalker and the rest of the Rebel Alliance. During the movie, Luke Skywalker is studying the Force under Yoda, but when Darth Vader captures Luke's friends, Luke must go to save them. So I'll show you a quick movie clip and show you how it becomes easy to remember the plot.
Escape. Don't make me destroy you. Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You've only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. I'll never join you! If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you did. No. I am the father.
So that line, I am your father, most people can remember and quote many, many years after the movie's been out. So again, if you understand the plot, which we just discussed, and the characters, in this case Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, then the setting for this particular scene, they're over the central air shaft of Cloud City, and why it's happening is Darth Vader wants Luke Skywalker to join him in ruling the galaxy. So it's kind of a classic good versus evil setting. The line I'm your father is very memorable because it reveals and explains something that was not understood before. Now that you understand this part of the movie, it's easy to quote and remember I am your father part. So this is very similar to organic chemistry. If I just gave you a page out of your book like this one and asked you to read it, and would you be able to understand exactly what's going on in an SN2 reaction? Probably not. But if I started explaining it in terms of a movie, you might be able to understand it better. And in this process, what you'll do is go over something over and over again, just like you would watch a movie and over and over again. You would see this in class, you'd read it in your textbook, you would practice it in homework problems, and by doing that over and over again, you actually remember the line or the mechanism, what's going on. So, for example, in this SN2 reaction, which we'll learn about, you have different parts of the story just like you would in a movie. The plot here is the bond is broken and formed. So the characters in this example is the hydroxide ion and bromomethane. Along with the characters, they have certain personalities just as they do in the movies. In the case of the reactions, the personalities are such things as how electron rich or how electron poor they are, or the key motivation of the characters, again like in the movie, opposites attract, and so electrons will flow from the rich to the poor site. So the setting in this case is where the reaction could happen in multiple sites, so you have to understand why it happens where. So if we look at a movie clip similar to us going over this several times, you can see that this hydroxide attacks the bromomethane in a certain spot, and then we create a transition state, and then we move over to two new compounds that are ions. So the setting is actually why it happens and where it happens, and that's called radioselectivity in organic chemistry. So the lines that you would memorize or be able to quote from the movie are these reaction arrows that you see there in red. Those reaction arrows are actually telling you the story about what's happening, and then they will explain how the electrons move and the modifications of charges, as you can see here, where you create a transition state, and then finally you create a new ion, a bromine ion, and you now have methanol. So that's the same thing as having is like comparing it to a movie where you understand the lines or the drawing of the flow of electrons, and once you understand the reaction, you'll know the plot of the reaction. It flows naturally from the motivation of the characters in their particular setting and describes how the plot moves forward by writing out the correct sequence of lines. Furthermore, you can even predict what will happen when the setting is changed. So I hope that this analogy can make you feel a little bit better about studying organic chemistry. And if you didn't quite understand the whole SN2 mechanism, don't worry, we'll spend time on it later on this semester. So next I wanted to go through a quick group of study tips to help you get started on the right foot this semester. First, review the lesson objectives. We write lesson objectives for each lesson. That's where we describe the things that we think are important in the lessons, and that's where we derive our quiz and test questions from. Scan and read the required material. So we're going to assign reading for each section. That's where you're going to be able to get an understanding of what's going on based off how the book explains it, where it shows graphics and pictures. It also has underlined or bolded words, which are the vocabulary and the language of organic chemistry. So definitely take the time to read the required materials. Work the homework problems. This is probably the most important thing. This is how you get to memorize the lines like you do in the movies. By doing homework problems over and over again, things become second nature and you have them memorized without even thinking about it. Ask questions in class. If you have a problem with homework problems or something you read in the book, ask questions in class to get clarified so you don't fall behind. Make models. So many times in organic chemistry, we ask you to visualize what's going on, and making models helps you do that. So bring your model kits and use them often. Seek to find and understand trends and apply those basic concepts to more complex problems. In class, we'll continue to try to point out these trends, and these trends will be able to be applied all the way throughout the semester and even to the next semester. And then finally, keep up. You can't expect to study just the night before and continue to do all right in the course. You have to study or do a little bit of chemistry each day. So here's a graphic I pulled from the internet, which is advice from other students on how to do well in organic chemistry. And as you can see, do problems as the highest rated, and I think I'll agree with that you should work problems. That's how you're going to get better. One thing I'll caution you about is be aware of the solution guide, which you see that in green. That's important to pay attention to, because a lot of times people will look at the book or will look at the solution manual and just say, yeah, I can do that. But then when it comes time to put pencil to paper, they have a hard time with it. So the best way to do it, to get better at it, is do problems. And finally, do it every day. Over there in blue, again, working it a little bit each time, each day, is better than trying to study for it all the night before. So I hope that you'll find that this will be a challenging but rewarding course, and even maybe fun. We hope to show you the applicability of organic chemistry in everyday life. So watch the videos and get excited about organic chemistry. Bye.